Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage and the AZU engine. In the previous video I messed up on the cylinder heads. I destroyed the original ones. So what I have done now is I have prepped the two spare ones that I have. They were actually stuck, the valves were stuck in there, which was annoying, but also helped preserve them because no moisture came in there, and that way it seems to be reasonable to save it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lap the valves in. I'm going to use the new valves that I bought, and then these will be good to go, I think. And what I'm going to do is, as you can see, I've cleaned up the valve seats and they look really nice comparing it to the spare one. I also checked the valve guides using my simple test, and it sounds good. There is no movement in the stem. Everything seems fine. So I'm just going to lap them in using my stick and then test for leaks in the end, and I'm going to do that on both of them and then take you back when that is done. It's pretty much the same as I did before. It's just hopefully with a bit more success. So I just finished up both of the cylinder heads, and I got it standing right here with the liquid in the combustion chamber to check for leaks. Previously I pressurized these ports. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I am no expert, as you might know. But I'm told that another way to test it is, of course, to check if the level drops over time. But another thing is to pressurize it with compressed air from a distance, like this, into the ports. And a leaking valve with the show by bubbles. So I'm pretty sure these are good and tight now. Now what I want to do is to install the barrels, the pistons and the cylinder heads on the engine. I'm going to install the barrels out here because you have to use a compression tool to compress the piston rings. That's not really possible on the 2CV because you can't access the bottom of the connecting rods the same way as normally. So I'm going to just loop this up nice and good. So I'm going to make sure that the rings are spaced out right. I want the rings to not be directly at the same spot, so they are spaced out there, there and there. Now I can install it. And then install the compression tool. Push that down. Like that. And I need to take it, push it far enough out so that I can access the gudgeon pin and the clips, like that. And I'm going to remove the clip. And then it's ready to install on the car. Carefully. And install the gudgeon pin. And the clip, like that. Like that. And I installed new rubber bushings or gaskets for the pushrod tubes. Then I just need to take care to actually get them into the tube so I don't squash the tube against the engine block. Then I'm going to torque them up. I'm actually going to loosen them up later in the process when I fit the manifold intake, because that can sometimes try to turn the head slightly, and yeah, it's just the best way to do it to avoid leaks. But until then, I'm just going to torque it up. I don't like these sounds. And the cylinder head is off again. As you can maybe see, the piston is protruding out through the cylinder. that makes it foul on the cylinder head. I was really puzzled about that at first. It turns out that the barrels and the pistons that came with this car as part of the project package is not for this engine. It's a 435cc barrel and piston, and this is a 425cc engine. I did notice a difference in look at the pistons, comparing the old and the new, but I did know that the newer ones had some dishes in them that the old one did not have, so I didn't think of it as being a problem, but I should have measured it because it's clearly that bit longer. So yeah, there's nothing I can do. I need to order a new set of barrels and pistons for this engine, which is really annoying because, as you might remember, I have used quite a lot of time cleaning and honing these cylinders. But anyway, that's just the way it is, and it's just one step forward and a couple of steps backwards on this engine so far. So be back in a second, but it will probably be in a week's time in real life because I will have to wait until I get some new barrels. And I'm back already, not with new barrels, but because I just realized that this problem is way worse than first anticipated, and it's all my fault for not taking care to check the parts that I had. The problem right now is that not only is the piston not the right size, the entire bore is a little bit bigger. It won't work on this engine, but the main problem is that the bottom end of this that is inserted into the block is slightly bigger than the correct one. I assembled this and did notice that it was a bit snug down here, but it is supposed to be snug, but yeah, I didn't think much of it, and I could push it in. But the problem is when I tried to tighten this up, it has actually cracked the block because the barrel is too big. Yeah, it could probably be welded up. But I have zero experience in welding up aluminum, and this aluminum from the 50s is notoriously difficult to weld in, I'm told. I'm going to try to find another engine for this project. Maybe end up using some parts from this engine on the other one. We'll have to see what kind of condition I can find the other engine is in. But I just screwed up, and to be honest, it's starting to feel like this engine project is slightly cursed. Or maybe I'm just not being very concentrated, I don't know. But firstly, the cylinder head cracked the old ones, and now the engine block also. I'm just messing this engine up. I'm doing my best, but unfortunately I am making some quite serious mistakes currently. So this is a few days later, and as you can see, it's snowballing, of course. I destroyed that engine block because I wasn't taking care. So it's junk, and it's a shame because the whole project in this revival is to reuse as much of the old parts. There's nothing that I can do about that now, but I have gained some experience in trying to be a little bit more careful. I'm in a hurry with this project, and that's the problem currently. Anyway, I'm trying to take it slowly now, and I'm actually ready to start reassembling a new engine. That will be in the next video for you guys, but this is the new block. Luckily, I have a neighbor with a lot of stuff, and this one was lying in a corner. Everything looks decent. This is the crankshaft from the new donor engine. That is quite rough, but actually usable. But I'm going to reuse as much of the old engine, because even though I wrecked the block, I'm still going to try to use as much of the original car as possible. And the crankshaft actually looks really decent. As you can see, it's a different kind of bearing setup than you're used to. This one in here is difficult to change. This one could be easier, but it actually looks decent, so I'm just going to use it as is. So yeah, I'm going to start reassembling this engine in the next video. One step forward, two step backs. That's just the way it is sometimes. But this will be all for this video. Remember, you can support me on Patreon. There's a link down below. It helps me out quite a bit and makes it possible for me to make these videos. Stay tuned for the next video, which will probably come in a couple of days' time, where this engine is hopefully put back together so we can start it up and see how it runs. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.